Eyo! I hope you're doing well, but I'm guessing since you're watching this video, you are not having the best of days because it probably means that your furnace is on the fritz or completely dead. And of course, it is the coldest or one of the coldest days of the year. So I'm sorry about that. Hopefully this video will get at least some of you guys up and running if you had the same problem that I did with this furnace a while ago. So what happened with this furnace is we started to smell this nasty smell that smelled like melting plastic basically, and then our furnace eventually it would not run it. So it would try to fire up 3 times in a row and then it would shut down. So it would lock us out. I took off the cover. I was able to see a flashing light that was giving me an error code and went from there. So what I ended up doing is replacing the circuit board or the control board with another used board that I found on eBay. So for $70 US, I was able to save my furnace, and I'm guessing if I would have got a repairman out, he would have said that the furnace needs to be replaced. So for me to save it just with a bunch of time and 70 bucks, I was beyond tickled. I am ticklish, but I was tickled. Cut that out. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through what I did. I'm going to say right off the bat, I am not a furnace technician. I was able to repair my furnace basically using the help of YouTube and then ultimately eBay to buy a part that I needed. So if you need more help about anything or just figuring out some of the nitty-gritties of what I'm explaining, please search on YouTube. There's some other amazing teachers. Make use of them. I certainly did, and they helped me a lot. And there's a good chance that they'll be able to help you as well. So if you do go through this video and you determine that you think your circuit board is bad, to find another one on eBay, basically what you're going to need to know is the model number of your current board. So on your board, you should be able to find a code. It's on here in a few spots. I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up too clearly. A big long code. And hopefully you're going to get lucky like I did and find another board on eBay. I just know that the board you're getting is probably going to be another used board. So there is a chance that it might not last too long. But if you're in the case where I am, where you're desperate, like, well, for $70, I can try throwing this board in, and it's still gonna probably be cheaper than even getting a repairman out to even just look at my furnace and possibly just tell me that, sorry son, you're gonna have to buy a new one. I can recommend a furnace for you. Might be worth a shot. And in my case, it worked out great. And definitely when you're searching for a board on eBay, if you have a few different options, try to find one that has a warranty or at least maybe like a 30-day exchange policy so you can send it back if it doesn't work. Of course, if you put the board in off of eBay and like you hear a lot of fritter-frattering and smoke, you probably can't return it if you damage it. But at least if you put it in and nothing happens, hopefully you can send it back. So in terms of tools that you're going to need for this repair, it is super bare bones. You might need a screwdriver or two just to pop off some covers and stuff from inside your furnace. You'll probably want a voltage meter just to do some of the tests. You can even skip the test if you want to and just take a guess that it's the circuit board. But I'm guessing if you feel comfortable swapping out a circuit board, you're probably at least somewhat comfortable using a voltage meter. So recommended. And you don't need a fancy, expensive Fluke voltage meter or anything. I just got a basic Mastercraft one. Does the job. And that's basically it. So down here is where I saw the flashing error code. So right now the light's just on solid. It would blink. You'll see that in the video. And then there's a few main parts that you're going to be testing. So I believe this is called the inducer motor or the exhaust motor. That's the motor that shoots out the exhaust from your furnace. So that needs to be working. And we're also going to test the pressure switch. And then also we're going to test the igniter as well. So those are the things that you're going to want to rule out. So one other thing you might want to try when you're diagnosing the furnace is just try running air conditioning if you have it, or just the blower fan, just to see if your fan's working. I don't think I talked about that in the video. That is something you want to check, because in my case, I'm pretty sure my air conditioning still worked, or the blower would still go. It was just when the furnace was calling for heat that we were having this problem. So enjoy the video, hopefully it helps. And again, if you run into any issues or where I don't explain things properly or clearly, feel free to ask in the comments or check out some of the other great YouTube videos. You should be able to find something that's helpful to you. And good luck. Seriously, I really hope that this helps you and that you're able to get your furnace going again. Good luck. So you can see the fan starting up. And then if it were working properly, we would see the igniter turning on back here, but as you can see, nothing will be firing up. So for some reason, my furnace is not getting a flame, which I believe is because of the control board down here at the bottom. And soon, we're going to see this light start flashing, which is going to give us an error code. Okay, so now I don't know if you can hear it, but it's putting gas to the burners, but because there is no flame still, the furnace is going to say, hey, we got a problem, we got no flame. And as you can see down here now, we got an error code. So it's giving us 1, 2, 3 short and 2 long flashes. And I believe that the control board is kaput. I bought a new one, or I should say a used one off of eBay. And we're gonna swap that out and see what happens. Just before the furnace died, our house was smelling like nasty melting plastic, and it does really smell like that in here. And now my furnace is trying again, but no go. I'm definitely not a furnace technician by any means, but basically the order of operations, once the thermostat calls for heat, the fan's gonna kick on, and this is the exhaust fan. So just to get the fumes out of the house, this is gonna kick on. And we've got a switch here, and that will, that's an air pressure valve. So normally it's open, and once it senses pressure while it's igniting, it closes, and then it should open back up. And at that point, it should send a signal back to the board saying, hey, get the igniter going. The igniter's gonna hop back on. So at this point, we're gonna check the, I forget what this is called, but we're gonna check to make sure that it is, when it's not running, it should be open, which means we have no continuity. So you'll take your multimeter, put it to the ohms, and pop these off, make sure they're not touching any metal. And when it's open, we should have no continuity there, because it should be open, so there'll be no connection, no connection. And now we're gonna test the pressure switch. So once the motor turns on, we should see a connection there for a bit, for a few seconds, and then the switch will open back up and the connection should no longer be there. So this is how we check to make sure that the switch is closing when it should be and then opening back up. Because if it stays shut, the igniter is not going to pop on. So if the igniter here at this point were staying shut, or even if right now we were getting a reading here, I'd recommend switching out that part. Oh, let's see. The inducer motor is turning on, and soon we should see a connection here on our meter. Yep, see, got a connection. And make sure that when you do this test that you do not have voltage going through this part. That would not be good. Because of the pressure, the switch will work on its own. Just trying for a few seconds here. Actually longer than a few seconds, I guess. But soon we should see that number disappear once the switch opens back up. So I shut the furnace down, and I will test the switch now. And as you can see, the switch opened back up. So the switch seems to be working fine. So my switch is working fine. So next you want to check your igniter itself. Hopefully this is your problem and the igniter is just bad. So what you would do is you would put your multimeter to AC. So, and then when the furnace, then you will stick these probes into this connection here for the igniter. The igniter goes up in here. You'd stick a probe into each end. Just be careful not to damage the plugs. And then when the furnace fires on, you would see voltage coming through here. But in my case, when the furnace is firing on, it is not sending power to here. And because I'm getting power on the switch, sorry, I don't know if you can see that. The switch that I just checked right here, the switch seems to be working fine, but the igniter is getting no power, which tells me that probably my board here on the bottom is kaput. If the board were working, the switch should be sending this switch should be sending a relay down to the board, or information to the board, and it would say, hey, start the igniter. And you should be getting power in here, but because I'm not, I think it's the board. So let's see. So on my furnace here, I've just got 2 screws that hold this panel up. So I'm just gonna open those up so we can access the control board. And then just carefully wiggle it out. And at this point, you're going to want to I'll take a couple good pictures of this so that you can see where all your wire connections are. Because I've got my new board here, which looks just like the old one. So I'm going to want to plug everything in exactly the same way into the new board and see if we got ourselves a working furnace. So before you go ahead poking around on your control board, please make sure your furnace is off. So kill the power to it. Very important. You don't want to be messing with circuit boards when there's still power flowing through it. Things could go bad. So stop, make sure the furnace is off. Carry on. All right, got the new one all wired up. No catastrophes. Time to put it back in, and soon we're going to try this. All right, just tightening everything back up. Make sure everything's plugged back in. All systems good. Time for the great test. Turning the furnace on. Old board, new board. New board has light. See if we have a giant explosion. Light is not blinking. So far so good. And it's kicking on. That's good. Now we're gonna see if we get flame. Should be a flame coming up in there, or a red glow at least. Let's see. We got a red glow. Hallelujah. Whoosh. It worked. Oh my. We've got ourselves a furnace. I'm one happy camper. Booyah. eBay part for the win. Loves me some eBay. And YouTube YouTube helpers. It's great.